So now we are in a autistic center in Kyrgyzstan. How you say Kyrgyzstan?
Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan. I visited the center. It is specialized in ABA, and the teachers or the
ABA therapists.
ABA therapist will ask me some questions, and it is improvisation. Let's try to do what we can.
Maybe could you please tell us about yourself?
So my name is Eric Lucas, and I am Asperger. I discovered that I am an Asperger autistic only 2 years and a half. Now I am 51 years old. I look younger, I know. And I decided to try to share my experience about how to deal with problems, to learn social life, and to be better adapted with people.
Okay, great. Did you have problems in your life without knowing that you have a...
Of course. I had problems all the time, almost all the time with people, and of course, as you mentioned, because I did not know that I was autistic, then of course it was impossible to find ways to find solutions. It was not impossible because in fact I found solutions, but it was very difficult because I did not know the mechanisms of my difference. I knew that I was different because everyone told me that I am so strange and so different and unique and crazy and weird and all this. But now that I know that this difference has a name and that it is high functioning or Asperger autism, and that I understand better autism, or this kind of autism, of course I understand better the mechanisms and the nature of the differences between me and the non-autistic persons. And of course when you understand better the difference, you can of course find better the solutions and the adaptations. So before knowing my diagnostic or knowing the name of my difference, I managed to find solutions, but it was really empirical. It was just by trying. It took a lot of time. I tried many things, and sometimes during years I did not succeed, and it took really a lot of time. But now that I know that I am autistic and that I know more or less what is autism, I can explain to people, I can understand my problems, and I can also explain my problems to people, and I can find ways to find solutions. For instance, yesterday when I was in the bus to come from Kazakhstan to Kyrgyzstan, I had problems with the heat, with the overheating. It was too hot. Given that I know that autistics have sensory problems, with the nerves, the sensory, then I understand better. I pay more attention to this problem, and I can be more careful. And maybe if I did not know that I was autistic, I would feel bad, or I would not understand really that it is normal for other people, the overheating, the 27 or 28 degrees in the bus. It is something normal, and they have no problem with this. But the reason why I have problems with this, it is autism. And in the past, without knowing about autism, probably I would be upset more easily, and I would not be able to find solutions. I would shout, and I would think, I would say, I would not understand why the non-autistic persons do not have the same problem as me. But now I know that they have a different neurological function system, so I understand better. In fact, when an autistic wants to be more adapted to society, the autistic person needs to understand non-autism. Maybe it's strange for you, but
Training.
yes, we need to understand why the normal persons are like that. If we don't understand why they behave like that, it's very difficult for us to be adapted. For instance, probably you know that the autistics find the normal, under brackets, normal word very strange and like a nonsense, like not logical, not just, not fair. And I'm sorry, I don't remember what I was. The end of my explanation. I am a bit sick. If you ask me, wait. I lost the thread of my thought. Wait, just 1 minute. I will find it. I said that we have to yes, when we understand more the non-autism, and when we understand more that it's like that, the non-autistic persons are like that with social codes and social conventions, which for us are sometimes meaningless. We have to just to accept it and to live our life with this. But if we don't know the difference, if we don't know that we are autistic and they are not autistic, and they have these differences, I mean they have these differences and we are different, and we are more, we prefer to be more direct, and we don't like to use politeness and strange social codes. And when we understand all the difference and all the mechanisms, it's much more easy to deal with all this, because it's just like a game and there is nothing mysterious. Once you identify all the things, there is nothing mysterious. But if you don't know non-autism, it is
You just have to.
it is really difficult to accept this. But excuse me, I want to say something, but okay, I will say it. The autistic person, like me, should be kind with the non-autistic. It's just an idea. You know the
and accept them like they are.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Exactly. I know it's funny and also it's a bit pretentious, because I don't mean that the autistics have all the qualities and are perfect. We have problems also. But what we don't like is when the non-autistic people, when the non-autistic society gives us lessons about life, but they don't show good examples. When you see, when we switch on the TV and you see all the nonsense, it's incredible. And you know the book, of course you know this book by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry,
Sure.
The Little Prince.
Yes.
And at some point, I don't remember, it's written somewhere that, yes, that the children should be kind with the adults. You remember this?
Right.
This. Okay. I'm sorry, because sometimes my ideas are not very clear because I am sick. Very probably because of this nightmare trip in the bus with 27 degrees. But my answer was useful, or?
Sure.
Yes,
Okay.
We have many questions.
Okay, don't hesitate
Yes.
to ask as many questions as you want, even if I am 95% efficient in comparison with usually. We have to adapt to the situation. That's all.
I have a question.
Mm.
A boy that I work with,
Oh, boy.
a boy,
Yes.
he is 9 years old.
Mm.
So when I ask him to do something for me, to show something, he would be engaged in something that is going on in his head for, I would say, maybe for 40 seconds or more, at the end of which he would give me a response. It doesn't matter whether response is correct or wrong, but it takes him time. And at this particular time, I just wonder what he concentrates on, what is going on in his head, and how I can, when I know what's going on in his head, maybe I will be able to help him. Maybe to make...
We have this problem. It is a necessary adaptation time. 40 seconds, it looks very long. 40 seconds? You mean 40?
40, yeah.
It's very long. But usually, I think that usually autistics need more time to adapt, because we have to...
Process?
Yes, to think about... I told you before, it's like a game to be adapted to non-autistic society. Then we have to think about things. For instance, when I arrived in this room, I was alone, and then you came little by little. Some of you came, and I know that I don't look very cool. I know that I look tired and I look not kind. I try to look better, but it's difficult for me because, wait, I am talking about something maybe different, but if I forget to answer your question, you will ask again your question, okay? Right. We have a problem to act if we feel that it is not sincere, and at least in my case, I don't want to be hypocrite. I prefer to look not very cool, instead of being hypocrite with the smile that it is not natural for me. It is too much artificial, and I have to force myself. And in fact, when I force myself to look different than what I am actually, just to be more acceptable by society, in fact, I have the impression of not respecting people. Yes, in fact, I prefer to be a little bit bad or direct or maybe a little bit rude with people, and in my way of thinking, I respect people like this. And if I play a game to look nice and all this, for me it means that I don't respect them, and I just play with them. I hate this. But it's not an answer to your question. It was just to explain you that I was trying to adapt myself to the situation. I am a little bit sick, and also, excuse me, when there is a lot of, when things are not sorted correctly, I don't want to use the word mess, but something like this. Sorry, excuse me. I prefer to say what you need to know my thoughts. Sure. You need to know my thoughts. If I am not sincere, there is no point in discussing. I think that for you it's not a problem. If it was a problem, you would arrange things differently. But it is the environment, the visual environment, and the feeling of offices and rooms which are a little bit in mess. It puts me in a kind of uncomfortable position, and on top of that I am a little bit sick and tired and headache, and it's a little bit not messy but something like this. I don't know the English word to say less than mess. And then I see that I look a little bit arrogant, and I visit the rooms and I say, yes, it's good. Oh, it's nice. I think it really. I like what you do. When I say it's good, it's because I really think it. Otherwise, I would not say anything. But I say it.
I like that you are autistic, and you can tell us
of course.
the truth.
It's
look,
great. When you are, unfortunately, not all autistics are like this, but the genuine autistics are like me. but sometimes there are some hybrids. But I mean that when you are autistic, you have problems with society, but you have also good points. You can be honest and all this. Then it's important to use the good sides of autism. Otherwise, there is no point in being autistic, because for me, autism is a difference. We can talk about this later, because I want to reply to your question.
Sure.
Yes, and we were visiting the rooms, and when I was answering you, when I was commenting all your explanations, look, in all your explanations, I understood maybe 80% of what you explained, but it is enough for me. I saw that there are progresses. I saw that the kids look fine, and they progress, they learn things, and the staff looks kind and good. And I have a very good impression of all what I said, except the mess. But if it's not a problem, if it's not a problem for the kids, then why not? It's only for me. But this does not prevent me to be functional, because I am old and I can focus on what I am doing with you. I do not focus on what is disturbing me. If I start to focus on what is disturbing me, little by little, I will go in my ideas about negative things, and then I will become to be bad. And to try to come back to your question, it's about the adaptation time.
Yeah.
Because for us it is not something natural. When we have to adapt to social things or to something that we don't really understand, given that it is not natural, it takes some time to intellectually to think, or maybe it's not intellectual. I don't know what is happening in the head in the brain of this kid. But what I know is that very probably you ask him something which is not natural for him, and he knows that he has to do it because he has to do it, and maybe because there is a reward or something like this. But it's not something that he really wants to do it. Then maybe there is a conflict. Maybe there is a conflict in his head. I just try to guess, because I did not see the situation. If I saw the situation, I would have a better understanding. I just try to guess according to what you explained. I think that very probably there is a conflict in his head, and he's maybe trying to understand, to decide, or to convince himself that he should do this. Maybe, you know, like when,
it's almost like him. Yes, it's true.
It's true. Okay. You know, when you want to, myself, I am very sensitive. Maybe you noticed that when I entered in some room, it was too hot for me, and when I was in some other room, I started to put my clothes better. But maybe you did not notice, but it's not a problem. Sorry. And when I go to swimming pool, I know that when I enter in the water, it will be cold. Anyway, the water will be cold, unless maybe it is in a steam bath or something very special. But in the swimming pool, even if the water is at 27 or 28, it is cold for me. And I have to decide myself. I have to take strength, and I will not go to swimming pool or to the sea. I see non-autistic persons going to the sea. They arrive, they come out of the car, they run in the sand on the beach, and they plunge in the sea. How they can do that? I have to think and to convince myself, oh, look, you can do it. Look, you can do it. You know that when you enter in the water after 30 seconds, it will not be so cold. But I take time. I take time to do it. It's not immediate. And for me, it's always really amazing when I see people just running in the water. How can they do that? So I don't know if it is if you can compare this with the situation of this boy. I'm just trying to guess some things.
Thank you.
Nie za što.
I want to ask you, do you have any problems with building a relationship with other people?
It's a very good question. Yes and no. naturally I will have problems building relations, and I have to force myself. I'm just thinking about something. When you arrived, I made you understand that I don't want to shake hands. I prefer not to shake hands because I don't like it, and because for me it's too much. And when this man arrived, he's bigger, I don't know, but he was more willing to shake my hand. And I had the reflex, I put my hand towards him. And then I thought, look, it's not fair, because with the two girls, I did not want to shake the hand, and with him, I will do it. No, it's not fair. Then, sorry. But if I want, of course, if I want, I can shake your hand. But I have to decide if I remain myself or if I play a role. And sometimes I shake the hands. Sometimes I say, excuse me, I'm not very I don't like the touch, and I don't like it. It's too much for me. For instance, we think that in Russia the men they kiss themselves to say hello. I did not see it, but in France we think this. Maybe I don't know. And for us it is too much. Look, you kiss a man with a man just to say hello. It looks completely stupid for us, but it is just a social convention. Mm-hmm. Then for me, shaking the hand, it's something too much. Why I would have someone touching me just to say hello? Okay, it's just a thought, but to answer your question, once again, it is depending if I play the role of non-autism. Sometimes I can play it very well. Sometimes I have to play this role to be social, and sometimes I just don't want. And sometimes I am really not cool. I am not social sometimes. When I want to be alone and when I am tired about all this, then I go in somewhere when I am alone. And when I choose to be alone and to be in freedom without social relationships, in such situations, it's really not good to try to have social relationships with me, because I will be really, really nasty and bad. This question, can you make it more specific, more precise? Because the question of problems, relations problems with other people is such an important question for us.
Yes. So, do you depend from this relationship, or you actually don't need it? So how it for you?
Good question.
It is just social role for you, or you have to be like other people, or?
It's a complex question, because about if I depend or if I don't depend. In fact, I think that I do not depend on social relationship. Let me explain. I try to be autonomous. I try to live in a way in which I do not depend on anyone. I can do what I want without the help of anyone. I try to live this kind of life, which is not easy, but in many situations I manage to do everything I want alone. That's why I have this jacket with tons of tools inside and all this. I prefer to fix every problem myself instead of asking people and having to discuss with them. Maybe I don't want to discuss with them, sorry. But I mean that I do not depend on social relationships in the sense of the need to have the social relationships for my personal comfort or balance, or to feel good. I definitely don't need, sorry, but it's true. I definitely do not need to be accepted by a group, for instance, to feel good. I do not need this. Then it is not, for me, it is not a personal need. Difficult to explain in English. Maybe if you answer what I say, maybe you can try to say it in English, and I will say if it is correct or not.
So, yes, I understand what you mean. So you said that you don't need it like as your own, like
my own, yes.
wish, yes. But sometimes you need it just for your goal to.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. It's the second part. Sometimes I am, of course, depending on others because I have no other option. Life is like that. We live in a society, and there are interactions between everything and people. It is obligatory to have interactions with people, otherwise you cannot do anything. For instance, if I want to go to another country, I have to have a correct behavior when I cross the customs, when I talk with the bus driver, things like this. Yes. Did you hear my problem, the audio file about yesterday? No. I had a problem with the bus driver because he was not able to set the temperature of the bus, and it was really too hot. Just by thinking about this, I am like choking. It was 27 or 28. I know because I have a thermometer. It was really too hot. They were heating the hot air. I was at the end of the bus, but even though the hot air, it was too much. And when I asked him, please, in fact, I did not ask him to switch off the heating because I know it's not the first time. I know what will happen. He would switch off the heating, and after a few moments, people will have cold and they will complain, and I will be the bad guy. And the foreigner, you know, I know this. Then I said, please, is it necessary to have 27? But the problem is that I don't speak Russian and it's difficult to explain, but I tried to say it in Russian. And of course he did not understand. And there was someone with me translating, and I said to this guy, I said, look, please ask them, to the public and to the driver, if they think it is necessary to have 27 in the bus. Not to turn off the heating. And what did they do? They said, they did not say it is necessary or not necessary. They said it is normal. Это normal nu je. But I don't ask you if it is normal for you. I don't ask you if you feel okay with 27. I ask you if you find it necessary to have such a high temperature. And then it was with the public in front, the row in front of us, not the driver. I expected that they would give the word to the driver, but no. And then, okay, and I said, okay, 27. You don't feel bad with this. It is normal for you. You don't have a problem with 27. Okay, why not? And they were dressed with very warm clothes, like when you go in -20. It's incredible for me. I have pictures. And I said, okay, 27, normal, it's normal, no problem. But look, if the temperature was 22, it would be okay with you? In fact, I think I am realizing now that they don't know what is 22 and 27. Probably they don't realize what it means. They don't
feel difference between that.
Yes, they don't feel. Not only they don't feel the difference, but also they don't figure what is 22 and what is 27, because probably they rarely measure the temperature. They know, oh, it's cold, it's hot, but probably. And then the old person, they were very kind, and then they said, oh yes, 22, it's okay also for us. Then I said, okay, 27 is good for you, and you said that 22 is good also for you. And look, it's difficult for me to understand, because if 27 is good, 27 cannot be good for me, because I am so hypersensitive. But when I said 27, is it necessary or not? At first, they said yes, it is necessary, probably because of translation problem. And then when we say 22, they said, oh yes, 22 is good also. Then I said, how can you tell me that 27 is necessary if after this you tell that 22 is good also? and it was too complicated for them. Okay, and then it's just a little explanation, and then I will not explain all the story because I record it and you can share the story. But after this, I asked to the bus driver. I was starting to be upset because physically it was too much for me. I can adapt myself intellectually. Maybe like the example that you say, the 40 seconds of thinking, but physically I cannot adapt myself. If it is hot or cold, it is hot or cold. I cannot just think and decide that it is not cold or not hot. It's impossible. But there is another problem. It is true that when you focus on this problem, if you focus, oh, it is hot, it is hot, it is too hot, then little by little you will really find that it is really hot. And if you put your attention on something else, probably you will not feel this problem. But it is another problem. And with the bus driver, I told him the same. Is it necessary 27? I showed him the thermometer. And he did not understand, he did not care, and I tried to explain him, look, it is -10 outside, it is 27 inside the bus, we are not in Africa. Well, and he said, yeah, it is Africa here, something like this. I did not understand, it was in Russian. But he was just laughing about me. And sometimes in the bus, I saw that people were a little bit laughing about me. You know, the foreigner who cannot adapt to anything. And they were talking about me. Sometimes they were saying, oh, but he's French, so very probably all the French are like this and they are complicated. No, I have the same problem in France. I have the same problem in France and everywhere. In Russia, in England, it's the same problem. But when I asked him, he saw that I had a problem with the heat. He understood at some point he understood that I was starting to talk loud and to complain and to be upset. Because I had no other option. Because if I did not do anything, I would finish at the hospital, or maybe the police will come because I would make a big scandal. I know myself, and I wanted to avoid this. And at some point, he stopped the bus at the side of the road, and he opened the door, and he told me to go out. And he was speaking rather tough. But maybe it's the local style, I don't know, but yeah. I did not want to go out because I was a little bit afraid, because he said something like, it's too hot for you, then you have to go outside. It's so logical. It's so logical. Yeah, of course. It's -10, and it's too hot, 27, then there is no trade-off, there is no balance. You go outside. And I did not want to go outside because I was really afraid that maybe he would let me there. I think no, but I was afraid about this. I don't want to explain the whole story, but at the end, after 1 or 2 hours of suffering and discussions and all this, I managed because look what happened. I went to the front seat close to the driver, and it was less hot. But sometimes he put the heating on the maximum, and little by little it was too hot for me. And they were all asking me, is it too hot or not? And when it was too hot, of course I was saying it was too hot. What he did, when it was too hot, he switched off completely the heating. Then, of course, after 5 minutes, people started to complain that they were frozen. They told me, we are frozen. And I had the temperature. It was 22. And at 22, I told them, but how can you tell me you are Kazakh? How can you tell me that at 22 you are frozen? When you go outside, it is -10, -20, -30, and you are frozen. It's so crazy. And then I understood with the few Russian words that I know. I said, look, the maximum heating problem and the null heating, the blue color problem. Почему не? Why not? Why not here in the middle? Because the button is round, like in every heating in all the world. It's not a switch on off. It's not like the light, day, night, light, no light. No, you can adjust the heating, of course. And it was, he did not understand. It was so crazy. And I insisted kindly, and after 5 minutes, then he put the heating at the middle, not maximum, not minimum. And after this, during all the rest of the trip, it was okay. It was 23, it was a little bit hot for me, but it was okay, it was not cold. And I asked to people beside Binefs, is it okay? They said, yes, it is okay. It was so easy to do. Why I am explaining this? About adaptations?
Yes, a question about relationship.
Yes, relationships. Yes, and I said that sometimes I have to be adapted to society because I have no other option. Mm-hmm. And it is not a personal need, it is just because it is obligatory, because there are other people dealing with, interacting with, in fact, with my life. Mm-hmm. And also I know that I respect the fact that, of course, I need other people. I know that I cannot do everything alone. I know that these interactions are useful. But they are complicated for me, because all what I do is different from normality. And when you are a minority, then you never have the last word. And for instance, in this bus, everyone was saying, oh, but it is normal for us. It is the normal temperature for us. You have a problem, not us. And it is the same problem with autistic in many situations. For instance, an autistic boy who would be 14 years old, for instance, at school, he will have problems that other people don't have, because he has his special autistic behavior and needs and functioning and sensitive peculiarities, and he will have problems that no one sees, and he will be upset after some time. And people, the other kids and even the teachers would tell him, can't you see that you are the only person who has problems? So the problem is you. No. The problem is the lack of understanding of autism and the lack of mutual adaptation of both parties, the autistic and society. And it is always possible to find the best adjustment, the best balance. Like in my story, 23, it is good. Maybe for you, the difference between 23 and 27 is not so big, but I can tell you that it is really big for me. 23, I can live correctly. 27, I cannot even think. I will start to have very bad behaviors, to be very, not violent, but nasty, for only 4 degrees. Then, to answer the question, it's not a personal need. It's not something that I desire. It's not something that I want. But sometimes I know that it is obligatory to have social relationships in some obligatory situations. For instance, when I go to shop, I know that at the end I will pass through the cash, and very probably the person will say me something. And it's a little bit stressing, because sometimes I don't want to answer. I know that it's not a lot of words, it's very simple. It's just, do you want a packet, or do you have the fidelity, the loyalty card, or something like this. But I don't want to answer. I don't like it. I'm sorry about the person, because I know that it is rude for the person who works at the cash machine. And if someone like me comes with the food and things like this and does not want to speak, it's not good for the person. I know that people need human relations. Even this, hello, goodbye, thank you. Okay, this I can do it. I can do. Hello, goodbye, thank you. It is hello, thank you, goodbye. It's okay. In every language, or in the countries where I go, it's the minimum. I think it is really the minimum. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to engage in other things. Especially in France, in every supermarket, in every shops with a big brand, when I pay, they will ask me, do you have the loyalty card? And look, I found the trick. Before they ask me, sometimes I say, no, I don't have any loyalty card. Or sometimes I say, I have a non-loyalty card. Something like, and they laugh, and it is okay. And sometimes I just say, I don't want to talk, sorry. And sometimes I use some paper. I don't use it anymore because I understood that it was too rude for people. And it was written, I don't want questions, please, I just want to pay. Or sometimes I say, I just want to pay. And sometimes they insist, yes, but do you have the loyalty card? It is not necessary to know if I have it, if I want, if I don't want. I know that they have to, I know that it is their job. I have to ask this, and if the person says, oh no, I don't have this card, and maybe they will say, oh, but you know that you can have this card, and maybe blah, 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 blah. I know all the trick. I know it, but I don't want these questions. I go to a supermarket to buy food. I pay because I have to pay. I say hello, goodbye, but I don't want nothing more. And sometimes I even, because I try to make it, in this kind of situations, I try to arrange things so that it looks rather funny instead of not funny. Because if it's not funny, sometimes it's the beginning of problems. And sometimes I say, I just want to pay, because if I don't pay, I will have problems. Something like this. And they think he's crazy, but okay, here is the price, you pay, and goodbye. It's enough for me. Maybe it's a long answer for your question, but maybe...
No, it's okay.
Okay.
What about here, like for example in Kyrgyzstan or in Kazakhstan, people are not so social in those situations. They are more rude, like I don't know how to tell it. More straightforward, like.
Yeah.
And is it easier for you or not? Or is it still difficult?
I'm not sure about the question. You say that in these situations the people are more direct and straightforward, and in fact I like it. For instance, in Russia, one of the things that I liked the most in Russia, and it is a little bit the same in Kazakhstan but less, is that the people are direct. The people are direct, and they are not hypocrites. At least it is my feeling. I did not have the feeling to discuss with people who are hypocrites in Russia. Maybe one or two, but not much. But in France, it's not like that. People will be polite and hypocrite, and you know that all what they say is not what they really think. And I hate this. That's also why I don't want social relationship, because it is so useless. It is fake. Anyway, what's the point? I waste my time. It's just a stupid game. But I liked that in Russia it is direct. Okay, sometimes it is too much direct. I had some problems with some tough women, the very, very strong women, Russian type, you know, who think that they are above all the rest of the world, and they, oh my God. But it's only 2 or 3 times in 2 months. It's okay. It's a price to pay, maybe. But in Kazakhstan, I did not spend a lot of time in Kazakhstan. I spent maybe 1 week, and it was less direct. It was not hypocritical, neither. It is not. My feeling is that it is not hypocrite in Kazakhstan, and that the people in Kazakhstan are rather balanced. They are not hypocrites. They are not too much direct. Sometimes, yes, sometimes they are a little bit. I've talked with some people, and I saw that they don't want to say what they really think, and I felt that they were not hypocrites, but avoiding to talk because maybe my questions were embarrassing. But can you ask me your question again, please?
Yeah, you already told me the answer. Yes,
really?
for that question. Yes.
But okay, maybe I did not say all, but okay.
Do you have a close relationships with anybody?
Yes. I have a friend, and thanks to this relationship, I am not alone. I like to be alone physically. I like to do my own life, to do what I want, to follow my own way, my own path of life. But also, I am a human. I am autistic, but anyway, I am a human, and I need also to have human relationship with someone. And I have a human relationship with someone who is like my brother, or I don't know exactly, sometimes a little bit like my son because he's younger than me, but more like my brother and more like a friend, but a very, very good friend. And we had so many experiences together, so many things together, and it is very important for me. It is not something, it is not homosexuality and this kind of thing. It is, I think it is above this. It is human friendship. What is the word above friendship?
Above?
Above friendship, stronger than friendship, because friendship is friendship.
Like
You can
soulmates.
Yeah, soulmate,
Yes.
exactly. This is not, I don't know in French, but in English I understand you, soulmate. Yes, it's good in English. I don't know how to translate it in French, but yes, soulmate. And it is very good because I feel, sorry, I feel that I have some, because my friend is not autistic, and he's, I would say normal, but it's like if my friend gives me a food in non-autistic world. Maybe the food is not a good word, but thanks to my friend, I have a relation to non-autistic world, and thanks to my friend and to this relationship, I have been able to open myself to the world. It was not the case before, and I know my friend since 14 years. It's a long time. But before this, I was not like now. I was not so social, and I was not very, very cool, and I was, you know, the autistics, when they grow older, they can be, I know plenty like this. They little by little, they become bitter. I mean, unhappy and complaining about the life, about people and things like this. And thanks to this relation, I complain less, and I feel I don't feel stressed. I don't have the need to find a soulmate because I have him already. Then I feel very quiet. I feel in peace because I have something very necessary for me, and it's not a thing, it's my friend. And also for my friend, he's happy that my friend finds me a bit weird, of course. And at the beginning we had many problems because I had so many behavior problems, especially with the heat and heating. And he was not understanding why I was upset so easily, why I was shouting and all this. And now I explained him that with autism, I explained him not all, but he understands better, and he understands that it's not a disease, it's like that. And he sees also that now that I know that I am autistic, he sees that my life, I start to do good things better than in the past. In the past, I was just a victim of the non-autistic. I was a victim of the non-adaptation of the non-autistic world to myself, to autism. But now that I understand the problems, and thanks to the fact that I am rather high functioning on these things, and I am old, and I am experienced, and I am brave, they say that I am brave, something like this, then I am open to many things, to many experiences, then I can really do important things to help the other autistics and all this. and my friend, my soulmate, starts to think that finally it's not a disease, and now that I found my way and my place in society, or close to society, besides society, but it's my place beside society, and with good relationships with society, now he sees that I feel much better and that our relations are much better. All this thanks to the diagnosis of autism. I don't remember the question. Yes, do you have a close friend? And for me it is very, 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 very important, because would you, even if you are not autistic, would you really want to spend all your life alone without any close relationship? No one wants to do this. No one, I think. It's horrible. It is really horrible. And I see many of my colleagues, younger colleagues, for instance, Asperger or high-functioning autistics, who are even 20 or 25, 30, 40, and many of them are not able to find a soulmate, to find their balance, not their balance, but their, it's not compensation, it is necessary, to have a relation, because it is a relation with someone. I mean that when you are autistic, and if you live completely alone in your own world, you have no relation with anyone. And it is very important for us to learn how to have a relation with another human being. And it is really difficult. But when you manage to have a good relation with another human being, and when it works well, it is an achievement. It's like when you say that the kids here, they start to talk, it's very good. And for me, it's the same. If all the human relationships attempts are always problems, it is very, very difficult. You think, I will stay alone all my life, and it's not a life, and you are depressed, and you think it's impossible. And also you hate people, you think, oh, they are all bad, and they don't understand me, and all these things.
Excuse me.
I need to finish. Excuse me. I need to finish. And my friend, yes. And now that I have this relation, I feel relaxed. I feel in peace. Oh yes. Now I remember what I was wanting to explain. When I see my colleagues who have this problem, and I feel sad for them, because I would like to help them, but it's not so easy. But I also understand the luck that I have to have this soulmate, because I can see my rather sad life, because before I met my soulmate, it was not a very interesting life. It was it was not a happy life. And I see that that many of our autistics are still at this level of being alone, completely alone, without possibilities to learn how to build how to build a strong relation with someone. It is very difficult. And when I see this, I feel that I am very, very, very lucky. I am lucky because I managed to deal with non-autistic society not so bad, because I know that I am autistic. I am lucky for this. I understand autism not so bad. I don't understand the children, and when they don't speak, it's too much difficult for me to understand, but I can guess more or less some things. I am autonomous. I can travel. I am now in Kyrgyzstan. 99.99% in France, they don't even know. I'm sorry, but they don't even know about this country. And can you imagine? There are two Y in the name of your country. One H. No, sorry. Yes, there is no. One Z, and one K. For us, Kyrgyzstan. It's almost difficult to say. Then I mean that I feel that I am extremely lucky to have my soulmate, to be adapted, to know autism, to be also, sometimes people tell me that what I say is interesting, I hope so, and to, and because I feel so lucky, I don't want to keep it only for myself. I want to share it, and that's why I'm trying to do my best to help other people, autistics. But it is really an exception because the circumstances were very special. I was outside of France. I went to a very remote town where no one in the country wants to go. I don't know, in Kyrgyzstan maybe there is some city that if you talk about the city, everyone will say, "Oh, there is nothing there," and these kind of things. And there are many circumstances thanks to which we manage to, but it is very special construction. But usually, in normal situations, I don't know. It is very difficult, but I think it is still possible. And I think now that I know that friendship is possible and that it is not so difficult, it is not so complicated, because I see that friendship and relations with other human beings are not so complicated. For you it is not complicated because for you it is automatic. You don't have to think, how can I talk with this person? No, you just talk. But for us, we have to think. And now that I live the fact that finally it's not so difficult to have a friend, to discuss at the supermarket or in the street or to talk with anyone, I see it's so easy. It is so easy. And I would like to help autistics to experience this themselves, because autistics are afraid. Not only the autistics, also the non-autistic persons are rather afraid to talk to a stranger. But with the autistics, it's much more frightening to talk to a stranger. And now that it's like when you go in the swimming pool. At first, it looks impossible, or maybe I will. What's the name when you
dive?
Yes, you die and you
dive.
But you die also. It says droning. Maybe I will drone, but yes, it is very frightening, and the water is too cold and all this. But if you try, and once we are in the water, finally, there is no problem. But our problem is that we have to. There is a barrier.
To cross the line.
Yeah, there is a barrier. And imagine, I am autistic, but I am under the barrier. And the barrier seems impossible to cross. And in my life, I had a lot of luck, which helped me to cross the barrier for many different barriers. There are different. It's like a stairs, stepway stairs, and there are challenges, and you think, oh, it's impossible. It is not for me. It's for normal people. It's not for me. And finally, if the circumstances push you to do this anyway, because you have to do it, or maybe people will push you, but what is difficult is that you have to push autistics, but kindly. If you push us and we feel that it is unfair or not just, it will not work. We will get upset, and it's very important.
But we need to push.
Yes, you need to push, but kindly, and you need to show a goal, to show a motivation which looks good sense, which does not look a nonsense. We can talk about this later, about the motivation and nonsense and good sense and logic. If you can write it somewhere. Motivation, logic, fair, just. Things have to look just. It is really necessary. To come back to my story.
Just, you mean simple or fair?
If you say fair to me, I will remember, because it's such. What was your question? Simple? No.
Not
What was
just, you mean like that, concrete, or just like...
concrete is also very important to be concrete. Concrete and fair, yes. Just fair concrete is very important, but we can talk about this afterwards. What was I talking about? Yes, the barriers. And it is important, yes. In my life, I was very lucky because life helped me to push. Life pushed me in the barriers. I had to do it. And what I want to say is that once you are after the barrier, then you think, oh, it was really not difficult at all. But when you are under the barrier, it seems impossible to do. And this is not only for autistics. If tomorrow you have to make a speech in front of 1,000 persons, maybe you think, I will never be able to do this. And once you do it, after this, finally it was not so difficult. It's the same for everyone, but for us it's even more difficult because we have to do something difficult from the autism to... we are autistics and we have to do something difficult in the non-autistic world, which is not adapted to us, and we fear that it is not adapted, and we know that it will be difficult.
It's about new things, yes?
Yes.
So if you were not, you didn't have any experience with that?
Yes.
So then you're afraid to...
Yes, because we fear that, we know that we will have problems, because since birth we feel and we see that we have problems to do many things, even if we don't say it, but we can see that we have problems, and we can see that other kids are living in a more simple way and they don't have so many problems. I don't know what your kids here, what they are thinking, but in my case I was seeing that I was not like the other kids and that life was not so easy for me. But I'm used to this anyway. Then it's not really a problem for me. But I just have to see that. And what was your question? New things, barriers, and we have to.
So, if you have experienced something.
Yes.
Something new. So you have some experience.
Yes, I was saying. I'm sorry because I am tired and I have headache and I am sick and sometimes I forget. But now, okay. It was that if it is new experience.
You're afraid to do it.
Yes, we are. You are afraid to do it because you know that it will be difficult. That was what I was explaining. You know, or you feel, or somewhere. Maybe it's not conscious. Maybe it's you don't really think it, but somewhere you know that it will be difficult. And you somewhere you feel that you are not adapted, that it's not so easy for you. Then it's more difficult. And if you help the children or the adults to do things, but really little by little, showing them, look, this is not so difficult, you can do it. This little thing, the next thing, this next thing is not so difficult. See, you can do it. Today at noon, I went with a woman and an autistic boy, 13 years old. We went to a shopping mall, which is called Bishkek Park. And because we went in the street to experience, because I wanted to see the behavior of the kid in the street, because she told me that sometimes there are problems, and I wanted to see a real situation. And in fact, there were not really problems. But before entering in the shopping mall, she said, there is the crowd, there are many people, and very probably there will be problems. And I was seeing that she was not really... Look, I'm not criticizing, I'm just explaining. I understand her. But she was not really willing to go in the shopping mall. And I said, look, we can try. we enter in the shopping mall, and if there is a problem, we go out. It's so easy, no? And we did it, and in fact there was no problem. And we stayed a lot of time in the shopping mall, maybe 1 hour, and there was no problem at all. And then the kid enjoyed it. At some point there was a little problem because he started to run. And in my opinion, this shows that he was feeling comfortable. If you run in a places, then you are not afraid by the place. But all this is to explain that you have to try. And if instead of trying, you say, "Oh no, I cannot do it, I will have problem," then you never try. If you never try, you never find how to be adapted to situations if you never try. And I had the luck to understand this, not intellectually, but in life you understand some things, you don't think about it, but you get to know some things without thinking about it. It's life, it's experience, it's the life experience. And I understood maybe between the age of 20 and 30 maybe, that the more I make experiences, even though there are many problems, sometimes it's very difficult, but the more I make experiences and the better it is. And I can climb the steps, I can little by little be more free and independent and adapted to situations. For me it is extremely important to make experiences. It's a little bit like what you do with ABA. You try to find what is interesting and if you find the interest, then you continue. For me, even right now, the social relationships are not easy, especially with the administration, because the administration is worse than society. It is not human, it is too much artificial, the administration. And for me it's difficult because when I discuss with them, I try to be diplomatic, but I also remain rather genuine, rather honest, as I explained at the beginning. I don't want to be hypocrite with them. Then sometimes what I write is rather, it's some things that you cannot write to ministries and things like this, but I do it anyway. And I think that they also should adapt themselves to autistics, because we have the right to be honest, we have the right to be genuine. Why should we be obliged to play a game, to play a role, which is, the sentences, the hypocrite sentences, and in fact it is useless. There is nothing in these letters, and I write really what I think, but I make some, depending if I am upset or not too much upset, I make some arrangements, I make some efforts. When I really write what I think, it is really horrible, and sometimes it's not even possible to read it. Sometimes it's like the dyslexia. At some point I was so upset, and I wrote some emails to an advisor of the Secretary of State for Disabled in France. And I think that he was very brave and very kind to accept all what I wrote. And probably he understood that I was in a crisis, because what I wrote, I'm not enough courageous to read it again. I'm ashamed of what I wrote. And at least he had the proof that there was really a problem, and he tried to help me. I forgot the explanations. The adaptation, yes. And okay, next question.
So maybe we should talk about...
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that, look, I found something, it's a bit difficult to explain, especially now because I am here. But I will explain it in my book, the first book. I found that autism has something to see with coherence, with consistency. I mean, I think that the autistic brain or autistic consciousness is more, let's say, pure or something like this, clear and something like clean, and that like logic. If there is something in the environment, I mean, outside of us, outside of me, or outside of the me. Something which is not consistent, which looks not logical or not fair, it is like an aggression for us, like a little attack. And for non-autistic persons, it is less like an attack because they accept it. This is the difference between. This is one of the differences between autistic autism and non-autism. When you are non-autistic, from the beginning, when you are small, you accept to be adapted to all the inconsistencies of society. You live with it. You learn how to play with, I don't know, these games which we do not like. But for you it is normal and it is acceptable and you don't have problems with this. And for autistics we have a mind which is more strong, it's like a crystal. I know that of course the brain is not like this, but it's just a comparison. And if we have an idea, a thought, it is inside one of these tubes or lines. And that's why when that these lines are very straight and they are not mixing together. And when you are non-autistic, your way of thinking, your thoughts are more or less mixing together, and you have to make approximations. You have to think, oh, this is almost like this. Okay, let's say that it is the same thing. Not for us. If you tell me this is, I don't have examples, but if you tell me this is a pen, this is not a pen. What's the name?
Pencil.
A pencil. And you will tell me this is a pencil. I am autistic. I will say no, it's not a pen. It's a pencil. I will never accept to say that it is a pen. Even if you tell me yes, but today for the experience we have to say that it is a pen because blah 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 blah.
Pretend.
I will say no, never. It is not a pen. It's not possible because everything should be in order and clear and clean and good and correct and just and genuine and matching the definition of the dictionary and reality. And we don't want to make approximations, because when you start to make approximations, then everything is possible, and then you lose yourself, and then, like you can see, society, all the values, everything is a complete mix or mess, and no one understands anything. You take even the bank crisis in 2008, even the big heads of the banks, even themselves, they said, we don't even understand what to do. And what I mean is that, in my opinion, the autistic mind is wired like in a rather rigid way, like crystal, and less flexible. Then it's more difficult to modify this arrangement and to adapt the thought arrangement to society, because we don't want to be modified. If you have the feeling that you are right, because most of the time it's this, many autistics do something and they think that they are right. Sometimes they are not right, but most of the times they think that they are right, and they see that what is asked to them is not right, that they think that it is not just, it's not right, it is stupid, it is nonsense, it is useless, and all this. Why should we do something that we know, we see that it is not right? And we know it. It is like an aggression to our good sense. I'm not saying that we are always good sense, but I hope you see what I mean. Then when we in my life, many times I had almost all the times I do something and I have my reasons. When I was an adolescent, for instance, I was doing this or maybe some creation or some thing that maybe only myself understood, but I had my reasons and my explanations. But people don't ask. I was able to speak, but people don't ask. And not only people don't ask, but also they don't tell you that they find it strange. This is also the problem. Then if you don't know that imagine I do some crazy collection of look, I have a collection of syrups. I have 50 different syrups. You know, like mint and strawberries. It is a bit crazy. It's not very useful, but why not? And when people find it strange, most of the time they don't say, "Oh, it's weird. Oh, it's strange. Oh, you are crazy." Blah blah blah. They don't say it. If they don't say it, how can you guess it? You cannot guess it because they don't show it. They don't say it. You don't know. Then we continue. And yeah, it's the problem. And they don't ask you why you do this. And if they asked me, I could explain. Many times I've done something, I guessed that there might be some problems because I feel that it's not normal and maybe people will not like it. And I thought, okay, I have my reasons, I have my justifications, I know why I do this, and in case of problem, I will explain. But unfortunately, it does not work like this because people will condemn you, they will reject you, even before giving you an occasion to explain yourself. And for instance, you will not even see the people who will block you, who will reject you because they have a bad judgment about you, even without seeing you. Just the first feeling that they have, oh, he's not normal, it's crazy, I cannot understand. They don't even ask the explanation. They just say, oh, I cannot understand, then it's not good. Because they believe that they can understand everything. I can say a lot of things about this. What was the question? What was the... yes, about fairness and justice and logic.
Motivation.
And motivation. I see that if something is aggressive for us, it is impossible for us. Something is not coherent, not consistent. You know what it means, consistent, not logical. If something is not logical for us, it is really a big problem because we cannot accept it. We cannot accept it if we think that it is not consistent or not logical or not just. Just, it's very, very important. That's why I think that about the motivation, anyway, I think that what you do with the children should always look just. And if you see an autistic child who suddenly becomes upset and aggressive and all this, I am pretty sure that he will feel that something is not just and not fair and not fair, not just. It can be, I call this either sensory aggressions. For instance, the example of the temperature, which was yesterday completely crazy for me. It was not consistent with my body because my body is used to the cold temperatures. I don't have a car. I walk in the street and it is 0. And my body, when I enter in the autobus, and then there is a difference of 30 degrees of difference. There is an inconsistency. I cannot adapt to such a huge variation. And this is what I call a sensory aggression. But there are also what I call mental aggression. I mean, when it is not just. When some people do some things to me, and I think that it is not fair, not just, not honest, and all this, I cannot accept it, and I can become very, very upset and very bad and all this. And in the case of the overheating, in fact, I found that there is a kind of multiplication of both things. Because my body, look, if I enter in for instance, a public place or a shop or a mall and it is too hot, maybe at first I will not really how to explain. During the first seconds I will not notice that it is too hot, but anyway my body will tell me that it is too hot, and then I will think, oh, it is too hot, and I will be like not choking, but it will like an oppression in the breath, and it is physical. And after these first seconds of physical aggression, in fact, then intellectually I will remember, oh, this problem is not new for me, it's the same in many places, and then I will think, oh, these morons, this band of these idiots, and it's the same problem. Sorry, I tell what I think. And then I will think back to this problem. It is so stupid to put the whole overheating in winter. It is not necessary to put 27 in winter when people are used to rather cold or fresh temperatures. And if you put 20 degrees, it is enough. 22 degrees maximum, it is enough. And I am making many links between many things, and this is also an autistic thing, that we make links with plenty of things. And if what I was saying about this crystal arrangement, if it is clear and straight, if the ideas are not mixed, if there is no confusion, this is the point. If there is no confusion, then you can trust, and the links are very fast and very direct, and you can make many links with many things. And you can trust your ideas about these direct links because you trust your mental construction. There is another problem, is that sometimes autistics, they go too far in, let's say, the tubes of an idea, and they go to the maximum and they exaggerate because they have no relation with reality. They live in their world, but it's another topic. To come back to the multiplication of the overheating, I have this physical aggression. And then I start to think about this, and there are many links in my brain. It is stupid because it is not necessary. It is a waste of energy. Imagine the difference when it is -10 outside. When you have to, I know it because it is technical. If you heat a building at 20 or 21, it costs a given amount of money. But because of the difference of temperature, if you heat it at if you heat it at 27 or 26, the money wasted in the energy is much more. And it is so stupid. It is really stupid to put money, to waste money. And sometimes I was in the youth hostel in Russia. There were not many problems, but when it was too hot, people, what they do, they open the window. It's so stupid. They open the window, so you heat the sky. And I think about all these things. Maybe I don't think about all the phrases and what I said just right now. It's just notions in my mind. And then I think, why they cannot just set the temperature? It is possible to set the temperature. And then I think they are stupid, they don't care, they don't want to care, and all these kind of thoughts. And then I have a mental aggression. I mean, because it is not just, and because I feel oppressed, not only physically, but also with the human behavior, who don't care because you are just a minority. They just don't want to know. They don't care. And this is really a problem. And in autism, we have this problem. We are a ultra minority. We are 1%. And we know, well, myself, I know that we have to withstand. We are only 1%, then the world will not adapt to us, and we have to adapt to the world. But if the non-autistic society does not make a little bit of effort to adapt to ourselves, it is too much difficult. Really, it is too much difficult. We need a little bit of adaptation. When the adaptation of the non-autistics is zero, most of the times it is almost impossible. Even for me, I am very flexible and all this, but If there is zero adaptation, it's not possible to adapt. Zero adaptation from the non-autistic side is too much difficult. And there are many autistics like me who are experienced and who make a lot of adaptations to be adapted, but we need just a little bit of adaptation. And yes, it is the logic and fair, and it is very, very important for us to think or to feel that the situation is fair and just and honest. And if we feel that we are not respected or that it is not just, we can have a very, very deep notion of what is just and not just. For instance, when I talked about my collection of syrups, it's a bottle of syrups. There are plenty of flavors. And someone told me, but why? I have so many things. And without thinking, I told him, but when I see a new flavor that I don't have, if I don't buy this new bottle, it is not just. You see, it's something not important, but for me it is not just. I have to do it. Because if I don't do it, then all my building of ecological building is like not collapsing, but it is a bit shocked. Because why I would have 50 different flavors and not this one? Can you explain me why? The reason? Give me a good reason. There is no good reason. Okay, I have a little problem of space sometimes, but you see that the feeling of justice can be something very, very subtle, and there are many cases with autistics. I see it almost every day with my relations with other autistics and things like this. Even myself, if I write something which looks a little bit too much rude or not adapted or not just because it is written word. And so you know that with the written language, it's very difficult to express correctly what you really want to express. And if any little mistake can provoke big problems. Then for me, what is important is not to think regarding the notion of justice. Our sensitivity to justice is very, very high. It's like my problem with the temperatures. It is very sensitive. And it is not because you think that something is fair or just or logical that the kid will think that it is just, because we are hypersensitive with the nerves, with the exterior feelings, but also inside. And we can detect very, very, very small variations, and if something is not exactly in order for us, it is really a problem. But for the non-autistic mind, it's not a problem, because there is some kind of big tube or big bag and everything is in the bag, and it's not a problem. For instance, if you say a group of things and you say hat, you write hats on this group of things. And if you put an American cap in the hat, in the hat group, it's not possible for us. And about the motivation, I don't know well ABA, but I think that of course the children need some kind of motivation. It can be a reward, of course, but in my opinion, what I think is that the reward should look logical and meaningful. For instance, if you give sweets, for instance, if I am an autistic child and you want me to learn to do bicycle, and at first I don't want to do bicycle because I am afraid, and you will make me understand that if I do bicycle I will have sweets and I will maybe go to cinema or something, I don't know. Okay, maybe it can be a trick at the beginning, but it would be better to when you do bicycle, it's not to have sweets, it's for the pleasure of bicycle, you see. And I think that as much as possible it should be important to try to make that the motivations are concrete and matching the real life. It's not easy because when they are young they don't really understand. But for instance, I will give you an example. I saw this in Russia. There was an autistic kid and he had to put some bowls, plastic bowls, in little cups. In my opinion, it is completely useless. You never have to do this in life. So it's difficult to motivate him. But he had a motivation, the sweets, confietas. Then it's okay, he does it, but it's not very logical. It's like mechanical thing, and you know that there are some people who criticize ABA and they say it's like with animals, with a dog, and you do this, you will have this. I think that there are good things in ABA, but I see that it is good, but I think that it is important to try that the reward, the motivation is matching the concrete life, the normal life, and do you understand?
Yes, I can.
Just to finish. Yeah, maybe. Yes, just to finish my example, there were these bowls, and because the little cups were similar to plates when you eat with plates, I had the idea and I said, why you don't just use little plates in plastic, and you, instead of teaching to the boy to put the bowl in the cup, you can little by little teach him to put a little plastic plate here on the table. You draw a circle with a marker, and after four plates on a little table, and after this the glasses in plastic, and etc., and then with a bigger table, and then with the real plates and the real glasses and the real things, all this little by little, week after week, and finally after this he or she will be able to dress the table, to put the table in the home, and it is something useful, and he or she will have the self-esteem. It's very important, the self-esteem. I did not talk about it, but the self-esteem is something extremely important for us. And when you are an autistic and you see that you manage to put the correct things on the table and that your family is happy and it is useful, you know that it is useful, then it is good. But when you know only to put yellow bowls in yellow cups, it's difficult to see the relation with usefulness in real life.
Yeah, I think it's about mostly to show a child why he is learning that, for what, like what will be the functions of it. So if you
can you talk a bit louder, because of the noise I did not understand.
We need to find out a way how to make targets in our learning process with a kid in the way that all the things will be related in a functional way.
Yeah.
Like he needs to understand what
the use.
Where are we going?
It should be useful and logical.
But at the beginning we can still trick.
Yes, you have to use some tricks at the beginning, but maybe at the beginning it will be only tricks, and little by little you will replace sweets and some tricks by other things. I don't know, because in fact when you do something, it's not for sweets, it's for the pleasure of doing it, or it is because you have to do it anyway. So we should take examples for this. You should tell me an example, because I don't know.
Actually, I think in our work in ABA, when we use ABA, we are all these things that we have in our, for example, assessment book, which we have. Not always it is functional for a kid.
Yes.
Not always.
You mean that it is it is theoretical, or he cannot understand the. What do you mean?
Yes. For example, you have to teach a child how to imitate.
Mm-mm.
Because at the beginning he doesn't know how to imitate, how to, for example, and what we do at the beginning of the process with the child when he comes, we always work a lot on imitation, because we need him to learn how to do things because we will model. We will be model for him later
Yes.
on.
That's why that is what the normal kids do. They imitate.
Right.
This is, but
So
because the non-autistic kids do not have a problem with this thing, it's easy for them. But for the autistics, like I explained, with the strong mind, they don't really want to imitate. But it's difficult to show to an autistic of 3 or 4 or 5 years old that he has to be able to imitate people in order to avoid having problems when he will be an adult. You cannot explain this. But yes, I think that what you do is good. But I think that it is when you teach. Finally, what you do here, you teach non-autism to autistics. That's it. It's correct or not?
Right, we try to adapt him.
Yes, but if I say you teach non-autism to autistics, maybe it's not good. If I say this, why it is not good? If you teach to the autistic kid to be adapted to the society which is non-autistic, then in my way of seeing things, for me it's like if you teach non-autism or non-autistic behaviors, if you prefer to call like this, non-autistic ways, non-autistic life to the autistics. But maybe when I say this, maybe you don't like it, because when I say non-autistic or non-autism, maybe it's strange for you. No? Okay. Then, okay, when you teach non-autism or non-autistic methods to autistics, I think that of course it is necessary, but I think that it is important to teach non-autism like a second language, not like the unique good way, because it is very debatable. It is really debatable, you know. And you should. What I say now is theory, but if the way you teach non-autism ways to children, or if your way is too much, like religions. In the religions, they say this is good and all the other religions are not good. Something like this. If you teach it, if you do this way, it's not very good, in my opinion, because it tends to erase autism. And I don't think it is a good idea. I think that autistics, of course, should learn to be adapted to non-autistic world. And I am glad to be rather adapted. But I would never want that people remove my autistic peculiarities, because with these special autistic differences, I am able to do things that I like and that other people cannot do also. But I think that I'm sorry because it is theory, but if you understand my point, maybe it can help you. Teaching to autistics how to be adapted to non-autistic society, I mean to normal general society, like a second language, not like the unique way to be. And of course, at 5 years old, it's difficult to apply this theory, but at maybe 15 years old, imagine I place myself at 15 years old. And maybe my mother tries to show me how to be adapted to society and to show me what I should do. Maybe I should not walk and with the head looking at my feet. I should try to look at people in the eyes and things like this. I should not dress in a crazy way and all this. But it's difficult to explain. But she should tell me in a perfect world. She should tell me, Eric, if you don't want to have problems in the non-autistic world, you should do this, and this, and not this, and this, and you will have less problems. And it would be right. But when I do autistic things, I mean my special interests, she should not tell me, she should not say me, it is bad, you should not do this, it is crazy, it is bad, it is bad. No, you should respect autism. You should, excuse me, in my opinion, people should respect the autistic difference. It is not because the fact that people do not understand the autistic behaviors sometimes, it is not a reason to condemn it and to say it is bad. Who knows that it is bad? Who can judge that it is bad? Okay, teach me a second language, the non-autism as a second language, okay, but respect my autism, respect my primary language. Now I am speaking English, but in fact I am French. It's not my... It's like I am, when I speak English, it is like when an autistic adapts himself to non-autistic world. It's not natural for me. In fact, I don't like English language. You see that I have trouble to pronunciate some words. And of course, I would prefer to speak French. But if I speak French, maintenant si je vous parle en français, peut-être vous n'allez rien comprendre du tout. If I speak French, you will not understand anything. I have to adapt. But I will not forget my French. I will not think, French is bad, English is better. No, I keep my French, I keep my personality, I keep my original, in this case it is language, but in the case of autism, I keep my autism, and it is necessary to respect autism. For instance, if you take some famous inventors, like Albert Einstein and all these things, Bill Gates, very probably they are autistic or Asperger autistic or something like this. Leonardo da Vinci, it is almost obvious that they are autistic. And if in their childhood people told them to do only this, because in this period of the time of the history and in this country you have to do this and not this, they would never have been able to invent new things. And this what I say is not only for autistics, but also for all the different people. When you look at all the inventions or discoveries in the world, not all were made by autistics, but all were made by different people, by original people. I cannot think about a discovery, something good for the world, found by someone completely normal and ordinary. It does not seem possible. Maybe there are exceptions, maybe. And what I mean is that it is important to teach the autistics how to be adapted in the world, to avoid problems and so on, but also to respect their genuine, original personality, even if you don't understand it. Myself, sometimes I don't understand some autistics, they do some strange things, but at least I know that I shall respect them. Because in my own case, I know that many times I did some things and I had, how to say, people did not understand and they were saying, it's bad, you should not do this, because it's not normal. It's not, for me, it's not a reason, because it is not normal. It is not a reason. Of course, you should not do things harming people. Yes, of course, you should not harm people. I agree with this, of course. But if you do something, if an autistic does something which is not harming other people, which is not bad for society, which is just different or looking a bit weird or a bit crazy or strange or impossible to understand, why the hell you would have to forbid him to do this? Where is the problem? You see? And it is our freedom, and it is our way of living. It is our quality that we can do something different. If you remove our possibility, our quality to do something different, then what's the point being autistic? That's what I said at the beginning. If you are just a being, like a machine, and you just have to do only the adaptation to the world, and all your ideas, sometimes like genius ideas or something like this, no, it's not correct, it's not normal, forget it, you will never succeed with all this. It's not good to do this. And for instance, in the case of Einstein, maybe you know that his teachers, when he was young, his teachers said, nothing good will ever come out of the brain of these children. Albert Einstein, because he was in his world, and I think that you have to respect, people have to respect autistics even if they don't understand. Because maybe there is something good somewhere, and it is not because you don't understand that it is bad. I would say even on the contrary. There are some ideas which are very new and very complicated or difficult to understand to non-autistics. And so what? It's not because non-autistic cannot understand that these are bad ideas. But you know where is the problem? The problem is that normal, I put it in brackets with the two things there. Many times the non-autistic persons, they feel uncomfortable when they see something that they cannot understand. And instead of trying to make efforts to understand, or maybe sometimes they feel that they will not be able to understand, and this is very uncomfortable for them. Or many times they just don't want to take the hassle to try to understand. And because they feel uncomfortable, they will just tell you, this is bad, this is not normal, you have a problem, you are crazy, you should not do this, and so on. And it is really not good, not good for us. For instance, you take a child at the school, maybe let's say 14 years old, and this child, autistic child, is not dressed normally. He does not use the current social clothes codes. And you know that now in our times, it's very important and the haircut. I see that with the years, I see that the haircuts are moving, and all the kids are the same haircuts. But the autistic lives outside of this. He's not even paying attention to this. He's paying attention to his thoughts, to his ideas, and does not even understand what's the point. When I was young, honestly, I was not dressed well, and my haircut was not very good. But it was not a problem for me. I did not pay attention for this. It was not a problem. Then where is the problem? It's not a problem. But it was a problem for the others. Because it can be a problem for the others, for the group. Because it shows to the group that their social codes, finally, it's really debatable and relative, and it's not so important, because you manage to live good, to live well, to do what you want, to be good at school, to have good notes, good notation at school, even if you don't understand anything in the social code, the people and the singers and the cinema, the movie, Facebook, and all these things. Even if you don't pay attention to this, for the group, you seem to have a rather... You seem to be not to be uncomfortable with this. Then it shows to the group that their values maybe are not so in French it is indiscutable. Indiscutable, it means undebatable. Undebatable. And it is really uncomfortable for them. And that's why, not only at school, but in all the world, and that's why they try to reassure themselves, to get their confidence in their artificial building of concepts and codes and all this, by showing to the kid that it's bad, you are crazy, you are stupid, blah blah blah. It's for themselves to bar this thing. It's like the religions, like the time of the Inquisition and all this. If you were not, when people were believing that the earth was flat, you know this story with Galilei and Giordano Bruno. And if Galilei said, but no, it's not flat, I've seen with my glasses, I know that it is not flat. And all the religious people say, no, we put you to the fire because you cannot say this. It's exactly the same situation because you show the truth and they don't want to show this natural reality. They want to stay in their artificial building of social codes. And I think that somewhere, of course, they think that that their social code building is not so just. They feel it. I'm sure that somewhere they feel it, but they don't want to think about it. It's like the story when the emperor new clothes. It is when the emperor has new clothes, but in fact there is nothing, and in fact he is naked. And everyone says, "Oh, it's so beautiful." And there is a little boy, a little kid says, "But Mama, why the king is naked?" And it is the same. I see that you are watching your smartphones, and maybe it's time to, or if you, maybe I can come.
It's evening, and it's like a evening. Everybody is out of work, so people are texting.
Okay, no problem. It's maybe. Look, today it's difficult for me to express because I am a bit tired. My headache is almost gone, my cough is almost gone, but I am a little bit tired. In fact, what I said about the smartphones, it was just to show you that I can interpret these signs. And sometimes it is social messages showing it's not bad, it's normal. You have a life, you have family. And autistics, when they are young, they would not interpret this. They would talk during 10 hours without realizing that maybe other people, even if what I say probably it is interesting, but even though maybe you have someone waiting for you at house and you are not already at house, and how can you explain that you are listening to a French autistic guy who is saying things?
Thank you very much. It was very, very informative and very...
Really?
Yeah. I like it very much.
You say it...
will be very useful.
No, I say it because I'm honest.
Okay. For me, it's difficult to... I think that you are honest because we have an honest relation from the start. And I also showed you that I want to have an honest relation. But for me, it's difficult to know that it is interesting because I have to put myself in your shoes and to be non-autistic and to... but okay, no problem.
Being honest, if that would not be interesting for us, we would not invite you. Here's the direct answer.
No. When you invite me, you don't know what I will say.
We were expecting. Because
but it is not an explanation because you invite me before and after I talk.
But we were already informed from our Kazakh colleagues.
Yes.
I guessed it. I guessed it when I arrived. I had 3 persons inviting me. I stay only 3 days, and I have 3 persons inviting me. And of course, I guessed that Jana in Kazakhstan wrote some good things about me.
Jana called us and she explained and she told that it would be a
the only I guessed it, but the only little problem for me is that I am not specialist in children, nor in ABA and all this, and I am maybe not very useful for what you do. And just a little thing, when I said I try to make things, I compare it with doors. In all what I do, for instance, the letters to the administration and all this, you received a phone call from the French embassy of Kyrgyzstan. I will deal with this later, but it's just a door, and I knock on a door for various problems, and I will do the same in Kazakhstan and the same. And I do. It's like if in my life I work in a corridor. No, not a corridor because I am free. But if I decide, okay, I don't work in a corridor. I am free. I go where I want, even in Kyrgyzstan. But sometimes I decide to try my luck or to try something with society, with people. And it's like if I knock on doors, because I don't really know exactly how to do, and I try my luck. And maybe there are 100 different doors and I knock and 90% will never open. Maybe there are maybe 5 doors which will open and the person will listen to me and will say, oh, okay, I understand, but I don't know how to help you. And maybe if only 1% one door opens and that the person that I contact can help the situation to progress, it is good. But I have to do this. I have to knock to the 100 doors. And many people don't think like this. You know what? They think, oh, it's not worth, because anyway, most people will never bother to reply your letter, or they will not understand you. So what's the point? What's the point writing to this deputy or to this person, blah, blah, blah? Because even if they see your letter, they will not bother to reply, and they will not understand anyway, they will not want, and if they reply, they will say, oh, but we cannot help, blah, blah, blah. And if you use this mind, this point of view, of course you do nothing. Now I place myself in the head of many people. They think that it's not worth making efforts because you have to do 100 efforts for 1% of result. But the problem is that many people do like this. They don't do any efforts because they know that the results will be very, very weak. But if you do like this, then you don't do any effort. Then if you don't do any effort, you don't get any result. You don't get 1%, you get 0. Then in my case, I prefer to make a lot of efforts, even if the result is rather small, instead of doing nothing and getting nothing and not progressing in my life and staying always at the same level and complaining, oh, I cannot do this, I cannot do that, people don't understand me. No, you have to try, you have to try. It's very important. Even if it does not work, even if sometimes people are bad with me, and so what? The world will not collapse. This is very important. That's what I try to explain to people, and especially to autistics, to try to do things